# the one lover who hopes to marry. In a quiet town nestled between rolling hills and a silver lake, there lived a young man named Arjun. He was not rich, nor especially bold, but he had a heart loved deeply, a heart that belonged entirely to one woman, Mira. They had grown up together, shared childhood laughter, and walked the same narrow roads lined with gulmohar trees. To everyone else, they were simply friends. But to Arjun, Mira was everything. The reason the mornings felt bright and the nights gentle. Mira, however, dreamed of the city. She wanted to study, to travel, to see the world. "There's so much more out there, Arjun," she'd say, her eyes shining like the lake at dusk. "Don't you ever wonder what's beyond these hills?" He'd smile, even though it hurt. "Maybe one day I'll go there too," he'd reply. But deep down, he knew he didn't want the world. He just wanted her. When she finally left for the city, Arjun promised to wait. He wrote her letters, simple, heartfelt ones, though she rarely replied. Seasons changed, the gulmohar trees bloomed and withered again. The lake froze and thawed like his quiet hope. Years passed before Mira returned. She had become everything she'd dreamed of, confident, radiant, and touched by the world's colors. Arjun met her at the old bridge, holding a bouquet of wildflowers. "Arjun," she smiled softly, "you haven't changed." He laughed a little. "I didn't need to. I was already where I wanted to be." There was silence, the kind that holds more words than sound. Mira looked away. "I'm engaged," she whispered. "He's a good man." Arjun's smile didn't fade. It only softened like a candle before it goes out. "I'm happy for you," he said, and for the first time he meant it, because love, real love, wishes joy even when it breaks the heart. That night, he walked by the lake, the wind whispering through the trees. He was the one lover who'd hoped to marry, but instead, he had learned to let go. And sometimes that too is a kind of love. The town of Sundervan always smelled of jasmine at dusk. The breeze carried the fragrance through the narrow streets, past the tea stalls, the old temple, and down to the lake where Arjun sat most evenings, sketching, thinking, waiting for Mira. They had met as children in the same primary school. Mira, with her 2 braids and mischievous smile, was always getting into trouble, and Arjun, quiet and shy, was always there to get her out of it. When she dropped her notebook in the mud, he cleaned it. When she failed a test, he stayed late to help her study. He never said the words, "I love you." He didn't need to. Everyone could see it, in the way he looked at her, as though she was the only person the sun ever shone for. As they grew, life began to change shape. Mira's dreams grew bigger, bright like the city lights she read about in magazines. She wanted to be a journalist, to tell stories that mattered. Arjun wanted only to stay, to paint, to teach, to live quietly among the hills. "You'll stay here forever?" she asked once, teasing him. He smiled. "If you're here, forever doesn't sound too long." She laughed, brushing off his words, but something in her eyes softened, a flicker of affection, maybe even confusion, because she loved him too, in her own way, just not in the way he loved her. The departure. The day she left for Delhi was a blur of train smoke and unshed tears. Arjun had spent the night painting her portrait, the one where she was smiling in her favorite blue dress. He gave it to her at the station. "So you don't forget me," he said quietly. She looked at it for a long time, then hugged him tightly. "I'll never forget you, Arjun." He believed her. For months, they exchanged letters, her words filled with stories of her new life, the crowded streets, the late-night tea with roommates, her first published article. Arjun kept every letter, tied with a red ribbon. He replied faithfully, though his letters grew shorter over time. She stopped writing altogether after a while. Still, he waited. He told himself that when she came back, things would be different, that maybe she would see what had always been in front of her. 5 years later, on a misty morning, the news spread. Mira was back. Arjun found her by the lake where they had spent so many evenings as teenagers. She was dressed elegantly now, her city life reflected in every gesture, every word. "You've changed," he said softly. She smiled. "And you haven't," he chuckled. "Maybe I was waiting for you to come back." There was a pause, the kind that weighs heavy between 2 hearts that once beat in rhythm. "Arjun," she began, "I wanted to tell you this myself. I'm getting married." He froze. The wind seemed to stop moving. "Oh," was all he managed. "He's a kind man we met through work. It's not like—" "You don't have to explain," Arjun interrupted gently. "You deserve happiness." Mira looked at him then, really looked. His eyes still held the same warmth, the same love, and for the first time, she wondered what life might have been like if she had chosen differently. But some realizations come too late. A week later, Arjun received an invitation, handwritten, elegant, perfumed faintly with jasmine. He attended, standing quietly at the back of the hall. When the priest asked, "Does anyone object?" Arjun's heart whispered, "I do," but his lips stayed silent. After the ceremony, Mira found him near the temple steps. "You came," she said softly. "I said I'd always be there for you," he replied. She held his hand for a brief second, eyes glistening. "Thank you, Arjun." And then she was gone, carried away by a swirl of silk and wedding bells. Epilogue. Years later, people still saw Arjun by the lake, sketching under the gulmohar tree. He never married. Some said he still waited for her letters. Others said he painted her face in every portrait he made. But Arjun knew the truth. He didn't wait for Mira anymore. He waited for peace, and perhaps, in his quiet way, he had found it. He was the one lover who had hoped to marry. And though life had other plans, his love never turned bitter, because true love, he once realized, doesn't always end in marriage. Sometimes it ends in understanding. Would you like me to continue the story from Mira's point of view next, showing how she feels years later after her marriage? It could turn into a beautiful, emotional sequel.